Welcome. Ahead of the gubernatorial elections scheduled to hold on November 11 across three states, we're talking about Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states in Nigeria. Nigeria's electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, will receive 18 billion naira for the conduct of elections, and this fund will come from the 2.1 trillion naira 2023 supplementary budget as announced by the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu. Now, tonight on Politics HQ, we will look at INEC's preparations ahead of the elections and indeed in the light of recently conducted elections in Nigeria. Joining us tonight is a global president of the Ready to Lead Africa organization. He joins us via Zoom from Abuja. Godbless Otubure. Good evening to you.
Thank you. Good evening, and so great to be back here and to lend my contribution to the subject matter at hand.
Fantastic. And we've heard, of course, that the federal government of Nigeria, God bless, is having a supplementary budget of 2.1 trillion naira for infrastructure, like repairs to Third Mainland Bridge, Echo Bridge. For security, they want to purchase some helicopters for the Nigerian Army or Air Force. And we also hear now that INEC is part of that money, 18 billion naira for the conduct of the 2023 off-cycle elections in Bayelsa State. Looking at how much INEC had as its budget for the 2023 general elections and the result of that general election and the perception by the political parties who participated in it and some section of Nigerians, do you think that such spending INEC has justified why the taxpayers' money, Nigerians' money, should go to them for the conduct of elections? 18 billion naira for three states. God bless.
I mean, it's how do you answer this other than to say, clearly, we have people who were not comfortable with the outcome of the elections in 2023, February. And of course, there were a lot of reports that we put out there and all the partners have put out there to talk about the fact that there was not, a commendable adherence to the guidelines that was set up for the elections. But of course, you also have people who are the on the side of the divide who are saying, oh, this was good and this is okay and all of that. So let's take that aside. But for the functioning of state, and I think that is very important that we lay that difference. The fact that people are not satisfied with what has happened does not stop the function of state to go on. We may understand and say this wasn't done well, and then of course it's an unending pursuit towards justice, towards fairness, towards what is right, towards a better way of doing things. But the function of state must continue. So INEC is an institution of state. There is popular sentiment, there's popular fact, there's popular evidence that INEC did not meet some of its own stated guidelines. It should not mean that there were not things that were done right, and which is something that we have also taken out of the process. Yes, there were a lot of things that were done wrong. There were a few things that were done right. So as an institution of state, falling short in an election does not negate the fact that that institution of state must continue its work. So INEC certainly must continue its work. And our responsibility now is to say, we are wiser, we are better, we're looking at you a bit more now, and we can now hold INEC to greater accountability moving forward. And that is what those of us who work in this space currently, that's what we're doing, and that's what we're encouraging more Nigerians to do. So on the backdrop of the fact that errors or inability to meet a certain standard does not negate the functions of the institution of state to continue. So that is the only reason INEC continues to have budget, continues to have the funding of the federal government, taxpayers' money continue to go to INEC. So of course there are people who would also argue and say, no, INEC cannot continue to receive funding because they haven't done well.
Yeah,
That is
but
the
I mean,
valid call.
God bless. Just to pull you in a bit more, what do you say?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you say to this? Because I mean, 355 billion naira, which was the budget of INEC for the 2023 elections, you convert that to US dollars at how do I put it now? Just conservative rate. That's more than 500 million US dollars. That's more than 500 million.
I agree.
US, almost a billion US dollars. So, should there be some sort of accountability? For instance, part of that more than $500 million or 355 billion naira were used to purchase the BVAS device, the bimodal voter accreditation system, and to set up the IREV, the INEC, voter portal. Now, if the BVAS had upload issues, people were paid to make sure that this thing works, and it didn't work, shouldn't there be an inquiry, an inquest to find out what led to the upload issues? And because the money is taxpayer money, or if you were in a company, would you allow it go like that? So shouldn't the government of Nigeria, or at least the National Assembly, or someone say, hey, come and account for this money before we give you more? Since you made a mistake, you didn't say what you would do the last time.
I do not disagree with that. That is what any sane, forward-thinking, and accountability-driven society should do. And I do not, in the life of me, understand why that has not been done. Or maybe because I do know that we've had meetings with the INEC leadership, their quarterly meetings with CSO leaders across the country. We've had meetings when we've asked these questions. Why didn't this work? Why did this not work? You made us go out to tell the people that it is going to work. So the National Assembly, and I'm saying to the Speaker and the Senate President, I mean, you have oversight of what the executive does. And because we're still practicing, the presidential system of government where taxpayers' monies must be accounted for, I do believe that it is not out of place to ask questions. Why didn't this work? If it's going to be an inquest, come on, let us get it done. The chairman has been very upfront with us about some of the challenges that they faced. It is in his best, how will I say it now, best interest to also say that to the Nigerian people at every turn. So I am not saying no, don't ask questions. Let us do that. There are people who can take this up. The organizations who can take this up. We have done our bit by releasing our report, engaging with the chairman and expressing our displeasure about some of the things that happened and reporting our observations. So definitely, I do not say no, do not. We can go ahead. Let's talk to the National Assembly. Let's talk to the Senate. Let them do their oversight and say, look, if the people's monies will be given to you to do something, come and account for how you've managed the ones given to you, so that we can be better off in how we spend people's money. So I do not disagree. I totally agree with you, on that. But my answer doesn't change. The fact that there has been an error does not mean the institution of state cannot continue, because who would organize the off-cycle elections in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo? So that is why my answer is still the fact that INEC would still continue to receive funding from the government, but of course, it is the responsibility of citizens to hold every agency of government accountable. So write to your House of Reps member today, write to your senator, and say, if you want me to vote for you in the next 4 years, you have to bring a bill to the House or raise a motion in the House that says the INEC chairman must come and answer questions, or you say people in INEC must come and answer, must come and answer questions. So I'm all for it. I don't have a problem with that, and I know that the chairman would have his own defense and answers like he has given to us many times over what happened during the elections, and I believe Nigerians will hear directly from him themselves.
All right, God bless the Independent National Electoral Commission and other, bodies like the National Assembly. We have the security organizations or agencies in Nigeria who've been also holding meetings. These are all critical institutions, especially INEC and the security agencies, into organizing credible elections, as well as the political parties. Now, they're saying that they're assuring of credible elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi State. Now, in your view, what constitutes a credible election? And do you think that we will have that standard that is called credible election on November 11 in these 3 states?
Well, I mean, for me, I think what constitutes credible election is, I just name a few. The people are allowed to vote their choice. That's one. The people are not violently disturbed from voting. Election materials arrive on time, at least in 95% of polling units across the state, at least 95%. I'm using 95% because you don't have perfection anywhere in the world. And our electoral system is still going through a lot of reforms. Another thing, again, is that the people are allowed to campaign without being hounded by constituted authorities. Another one, again, is that there is no unfair advantage given to a group because they have access to power, or they have access to the military or the police. These are the things that you say constitute credible elections. Now, another thing, again, is that the results are a reflection of what happened at the polling unit. If you want to say an election is credible, the result that is eventually declared at the state collation center reflects what happens at the polling unit.
Okay, so Godbless, that being said, do you believe that there will be credible elections? At this point, INEC is saying that they're assuring Nigerians of credible elections in these 3 states. They said that 2 days ago. Do you foresee, looking at everything that is on ground? I mean, I'm sure you can forecast. So, yeah.
Well, I will tell you this. Because of the lessons we learned from 2023, remember, I do not speak for INEC.
I'm asking for your observation as a civil society. Yes.
The reason I'm saying this is because our own pre-election situation analysis does not completely tell us right now that the process will be somewhat in the high bar credible. And that is simply because there are a lot of things that we've seen on the ground. As I speak to you, our state leaders are, intensifying their work on peace building, voter education, security engagement, and what have you. I can tell you, on the part of INEC and the conversations we've had, there is a commitment on the part of INEC's leadership in Abuja to ensure that the process is credible. I can tell you that for free. You can take that to the bank. The chairman and the people that we engage with in Abuja are giving assurances, looking at the lessons learned, that the process will be credible. Now, INEC is a very decentralized system. I think Nigerians must know that. Sadly, some of the challenges of INEC is not from Abuja, it's from the guys in the state.
Yeah, but Godbless, I'm not asking you to tell us. I'm saying, generally speaking, whether the challenges are from Abuja or the challenges of. I understand what you're saying. I really understand what you're saying. But in order to give us a clear answer, which is what I want, all things being equal, with the challenges on the state level, the challenges, with all the stakeholders, do you foresee a credible, based on your definition of credible election, do you foresee credible elections on November 11 in the 3 aforementioned states?
According to the preparation of INEC and the commitment given to us by the political parties so far and the work that we're doing on the ground, I think we'll see a fairly credible election. Not
credible. Credible or not? Because fairly credible means it's not because you define what credible election is. You told me.
Correct.
Yes. So we've heard you. Will all these things play out on November 11th? Are you sure that they will play out?
I do believe it will play out. I do believe it will play out. But you see, the reason I am being very objective and thorough in my answer is that people listen to us, and we must be very clear as touching what we say. I do believe that the process will be credible based off on what INEC is saying it will do from the leadership. I do not know what the guys on the ground will do on that day, but I can tell Nigerians, the people in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo,
God bless. You know, you're saying based on what INEC said, you believe that the elections will be fairly credible. If we're to go by precedent, we're to go by experience, we're to go by performance. If I tell you I'm going to give you XYZ result or XYZ performance, okay, and I don't give you that performance, I don't even give you 50% or 60%, I give you maybe 40%. And then the next day, nothing has changed. I haven't even admitted that I didn't perform well. And I come tell you, I will perform 100%. Are you going to take that to the bank? Or are you going to say, no, you did not perform 100% last time and you're not admitting it, therefore I don't believe you? God bless.
So the answer to your hypothesis is I will definitely tell you I don't believe you, because then now you've given this hypothesis, and definitely the answer will be that I do not believe that you will, because precedent shows. However, we can now say that in the midst of the non-perfection in the actions of INEC, there are progress that have been made.
Okay, so tell us about the progress. What has changed between the 2023 elections that held in February and March and now with INEC and everyone that's concerned with the elections?
So let me tell you some of the things that we know have changed in terms of deployment, in terms of the powers and how the RECs manage the collation centers, in terms of how INEC engages ad hoc staff, the training modalities. All of these things are things that have changed in the way INEC would approach Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo. These are conversations that have been happening. And
give us a little bit of some detail of what exactly has changed about these things you've talked about between.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
I'm
just
saying
detail,
the deployment of how INEC intends to conduct its work with, getting ad hoc staff to be part of the process, in terms of the strategy to mobilize and take election materials to locations so that they arrive early. These are conversations that have been going on without it being out there in the media, and INEC is refining a system. I'm not speaking for INEC, I'm speaking based off on what I know that INEC is taking steps to correct, right? I do not disagree that INEC does not have a fantastic precedent. That's correct. But I'm also telling you that based on what the meetings we've had, the conversations we've had, the recommendations we've made to INEC, INEC is taking steps to ensure that, okay, so what is making us not to have early deployment? Why are ad hoc staff behaving the way they're behaving? We've identified a lot of things for INEC, and INEC is taking steps to correct them. We cannot tell until election day, post-election day, for us to say, okay, you know what? We were either taking for a ride again, or we cannot tell you there's progress. But so this is what I'll tell you. This is what I'll tell you on this show. Let us continue to hold INEC accountable, and take my word that INEC is working to ensure it relieves itself of the damaged reputation that it may have gotten over the years. That is the knowledge I have. Am I being too nice, or am I being too hopeful? Just maybe. Or will I be proven right after the Kogi Bayelsa elections? Just maybe. And let me say another thing. INEC does not conduct elections alone. INEC conduct elections with the police, the NSCDC, the military, and other stakeholders. Most of the time, the actions of these other stakeholders mar the capacity of INEC to deliver on its mandate. That I can also tell you. So as we hold INEC accountable, please let's hold the police accountable. Let's hold NSCDC officials accountable. Let's hold the military guys accountable. So we do not end up blaming only INEC when it is a collection of stakeholders' willingness to mar the process.
Okay. All right. God bless Otubure, Global President, Ready to Lead Africa. Thank you so very kindly for your time. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll be right back after the short break, and we'll go straight to Rivers State, where it's been non-stop action since Sunday night. We still have more developing stories in the political drama and the impasse right there in Rivers State. Please stay with us.